Rockstar or whatever. Here we are. It's okay.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into the show. Discuss some awesome Rockstar Twitter tips with AJ here. So everybody, welcome to the Visual Marketing Show here on Blab, where we come together on most Mondays. We try to be, so far we've been very consistent every Monday so far, but we can't guarantee that with the holidays coming up for everybody. But we try to do it at 3 p.m. Eastern. It'll also depend based on our guests. Thankfully, AJ was available at 3, so that's awesome. But we discuss the latest tips, tricks, and trends of visual marketing. Co-hosts and creators of the show are myself, Ben Requena, and that guy.
Me? Oh, Rob. I'm
Mr. Rob Russo of Bold Brand Fast. So if everybody that's joining us, go ahead and tell a little bird. Let's get some more people in here to hear some awesome Rockstar Twitter tips from AJ.
And yeah, we've got AJ. I'll go ahead and give, I don't know when, I know we connected on Twitter. I know AJ is the Twitter Rockstar and online entrepreneur that helps others with their online business. And he knows a lot more than just Twitter, but he's also branded himself as the hashtag Twitter Rockstar. And I know he's got some great Twitter tips for us today.
Yeah, so, dude. And Rob, you did all of the branding, my friend, for the 7 deadly Twitter mistakes. You did all the branding for Tweet Like a Rockstar. Dude, that's all you, brother. That's all you.
Well, thank you. I wasn't going to say that, but since you did. But yeah, I tracked you down on Twitter. Let's see. I was just talking to people. It was Social Media Marketing World, maybe, or some conference online. You know, one of those that I just follow the Twitter hashtag. And he's in California. I'm way over here in West Virginia. And I was following a few folks like Sue B. Zimmerman, and I know you were at dinner with her talking about just the stuff you guys were getting ready. I think it was getting ready to start, or maybe you already had day one. And so I just started, tweeting with you and thought, I'll harass this guy. So here we are now. You can fill in the blanks, or you can do your own whatever bio if you would like.
I like it. It sounds good to me, man. I mean, you kind of nailed down me and what I do.
All right. Well, glad that you're here, and looking forward to talking all things Twitter and a little bit of visual marketing. I know you've said before, I don't know if you've told everyone or when you tell people, but I know you've said back in the day you were a designer, at least a little bit, right? So
that's right.
You said you're a little rusty.
To be dangerous. I know that to be dangerous.
Enough to be dangerous. So, but I know ever since we've been able to add images on Twitter, I know that is a big deal, and still some things, people still aren't doing it necessarily as much maybe as they should. So, just how important is visual content on Twitter, in your opinion?
So it depends. It depends on our goals, right? So I did lots of research, because I always look at the data. Regardless of what the trend is, the data doesn't lie. So I want to know what is the data, and then how can we use that data to ultimately make a decision. Mm-hmm. So if we look at visual marketing on Twitter, the data says they're going to get more retweets. It's going to get more favorites, right? If I look at the numbers here, tweets with images get 18% more clicks. They get 89% more favorites. They get 150% more retweets, okay? So we can look at the data and be like, okay, well, 18% more clicks. We all want more clicks. It definitely gets a lot of more retweets. And in fact, Robin and I, we've been using more and more images, and they're getting more and more retweets, which is great, because the more we're getting engagement, right, the more we're getting shared, favorite, and retweeted, we're getting more organic reach, more organic impressions that we're not having to pay for. So it's beautiful for branding and nurturing the community. Now here's the flip side, right? If our goal is to drive clicks to, let's say, a piece of content, and you're using an image to grab the attention, well, it can, and studies have shown that it will hurt your click-through rate, because as you guys know, when we're tweeting and we put in the image, you have your headline, you have your link to your blog, you have your hashtags, but you also have the link to the image, right, to that little thumbnail image. So it can kind of mess up if your clicks to your blog, because people are like, oh, link, and then they click and it pops up the full size of the image. I don't want that. And then on they go because they're distracted, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So my kind of takeaway, or kind of my suggestion on this when it comes to visual marketing and some really actionable, applicable strategies, because that's what I'm all about, is think about what is your goal. If we want for branding, we want for impressions, use an image. If you want clicks, like promoting a blog post, then keep it simple and just start testing like 5 variations of a really good headline with the link to your blog post, and use 2 relevant hashtags, and then pay attention which of the 5 are getting the most amount of clicks, and then add that one into your content calendar, which we'll get into later into the show if you want to, where that's an evergreen tweet now that's promoting that blog post for as long as it's relevant.
Good
so that was spilling the beans, my friend, on images.
Boom.
Like, boom, just dropping it.
dropping the knowledge bombs.
Yeah, I read something similar about images on tweets potentially hurting your click-through rates. And one of the points it gave was about it really will depend also what's in that image. Like you mentioned, most of the times if we're talking about a blog, sharing a blog post, it'll either be just a straight image, or maybe we've got some text overlaid, and usually that's a headline or something. But some people might share a tip from that post, or something more content specific than just the headline. And if someone sees that, they may feel they have just received the whole of that article right there. Like you've summed it up in that tip or something, and there's no need for them to click through. So that's another reason why people may not be clicking through, other than just being distracted by so many places to click and, on the hashtag and whatnot. But they may feel like they have an idea what that link or what that post is about.
Absolutely. So I always say, like, mix it up, man. Like, mix up some strategies for the clicks, but also mix in your images within your however many times you're tweeting out, which we can get into today. But mix it in there so you have this overall integrated approach where you're like, okay, I have a strategy to generate clicks. Awesome. I have a strategy to work on my branding and my positioning and my authority. Awesome. And I have these little quotables that are being sent out there that people are sharing. Fantastic. Just have like an integrated approach rather than only do images or only do headlines. Like it's an integrated mesh up of everything.
Right.
That's great to hear, because that, as a designer, I'm always thinking about the image, and I'm thinking, if I'm telling other people to use images in their tweets or wherever, especially in their tweets, I'm like, then I should be too. So I always feel guilty sending out a tweet that may not have an image, but it's good to mix it up. So I like that. Everyone doesn't have to, but we know when they work and they're powerful. So that was a guest follow-up. Is I guess you do have a system or a schedule, I guess, of so every tweet doesn't have an image. Do you have a ratio or a formula you follow?
Yeah, so this kind of comes back to my good music days. Okay, so I spent 10 years of my life touring, which Rob, this, Ben, I don't know, I'm sure you do, just talk to Rob, right? So in my career there in touring and rock and roll, I learned one major huge takeaway that's relevant for today, which is people do not go to concerts to listen to music. Like they want to listen to music, they're just going to put the MP3s on their phone or on their MP3 device, and they're going to listen to it, right? Or they'll turn on Pandora or Spotify. My personal favorite right now is Spotify. That's what they're going to do to listen to music. They go to the concert because they want an experience, okay? An experience. Now, here's the crazy thing, too. I noticed on Twitter today, I'm going to pull this up here so I can show the people here on my screen. I don't know if you guys can see this little lightning bolt feature right here, right? So Twitter rolled out moments, which means they're curating content rather than just being in real time. They're like doing both, right? Twitter's known for being like real-time information, but now they're moving into the curation as well, just like all the other social platforms. Now, this is why this is going to get relevant today to the conversation, because you asked, like, well, how many times do we post? Focus on what experience do you want to create for your followers, right? There is no right or wrong. So I can't sit here and say, you must use 4 images a day because that is the way, right? There hasn't been even studies on how many images should you use. It all comes to your personal brand, the company's brand, and what type of experience do you want to generate. So the first experience that we should be talking about as entrepreneurs, experts, startups, business owners, etc., is your content should solve problems for your target market, period. Like whether you're curating the content or whether you're creating your own content, it better be solving problems rather than just making more noise out into the Twitter sphere, right? So just think through, create the spreadsheet and do Monday, and just start by doing 9 tweets a day, because the reality is the lifespan of your tweet is 18 minutes. So it's not like Facebook, it's not like Instagram. You have 18 minutes is pretty much the average lifespan of a tweet. So you ultimately could tweet out 80 times a day and be like continuously in the news feed. Is so as long as you're adding value, you're good to go there, right? So I would just say 80 is overwhelming. I'm not even going to tweet 80 tweets a day. Like, to think about creating 80 tweets a day blows my mind. So at least do 9 and create the spreadsheet, because if you don't have the spreadsheet, you're going to sit down here on Twitter and you're going to be like deer in the headlights, have no idea what to say, right? So just do Monday, 9 blanks on the spreadsheet, Tuesday, 9 blanks, go all the way through the week and just craft it to however you want to do. Maybe you do a blog post. Maybe you share an inspirational image, whether it's yours or someone else's. Maybe you do an inspirational video. Maybe you do a statistic. So just break out the types of content that you want to create. And then when it comes down to the creation piece, my friend, let the spreadsheet rule your life. And for creative types like myself and definitely Rob, we look at these spreadsheets like, oh, it dampens our creativity. Can't have a spreadsheet. Excel documents, the word burns if I say it. Like, I get it. I totally get it. I used to be there myself, but the reality is it's totally counterintuitive to a creative. But the truth is you actually have more freedom as a creative if you will plan your creation. So use the spreadsheet to create a framework to plan your creation, so you actually can spend the majority of your time, rather than staring at the blank screen or the blank canvas of we're speaking artists speak, like, what do I want to do, right? We don't do that. We have a rough sketch and then we come to the canvas and we start on our painting, right? We have the sketch. So the spreadsheet is the rough sketch for allow you to be highly productive when it comes to the content creation piece of creating the images or the tweets, right? It's all about the experience. So I know it's a really long-winded answer to answer the question, but I think it makes sense.
No, it's like, boom. Dennis, is it Kinez, or he's saying, you're making too much sense. Quality over quantity. But I think what you're saying about the spreadsheet and having this plan, I mean, it kind of, what Ben and I, when we talk to folks about like having a brand style guide, right? I mean, you start with, you got your fonts and your colors and, you know, set up first. And then when you're going in to create whatever new piece of visual content, you're not like you said, you're not looking at a blank canvas. That's like the worst thing. Even if you're super creative, nobody wants to start from scratch. Yeah. And then you know. And
I can see, well, I'm kind of reading the minds of people here. So we have people talking about using a spreadsheet. You know, Colleen, she's downloaded the 7 deadly Twitter mistakes. She's implemented it and she's like seeing amazing results. And so it reduces the stress, which is totally true. But a lot of people, I can hear like their thoughts, right? They're like, oh, what goes in the spreadsheet? Like, can you just give me exactly what goes in there so I know? There's no right or wrong answer. Like, just start, just freaking start and do the work. Like, plug in the different types and ship it consistently 9 times a day, 7 days a week. Get out of your head and just ship the different types of tweets.
So
I heard you just say, sorry to interrupt, Ben. You just said something about Colleen getting your 7, or was it deadly
Twitter mistakes? Yeah.
Mistakes. I'm going to drop this in. That's the bit.ly with the Twitter solutions, right?
Yes, it is.
All right. So AJ, you put together a great free PDF. Let me drop it in. Solutions to the 7 deadly Twitter mistakes. Okay, Ben, go on.
So AJ, you were talking about nine tweets a day using the spreadsheet, and I think that's great. It's nice and actionable. Gives at least a starting point, even if some people feel like that's a little too blank. So I guess my follow up to that question is: do you follow or do you subscribe to the notion of like the 80-20 rule, or some sort of fractional or ratio where some is your own content, some is the other, some is more promotional, et cetera? Do you follow any of those?
Yeah, I do. So I follow 80-20, usually being 80% of the time add value to my community, 20% of the time promote something of mine, right? So out of the 9, I always usually promote a blog post twice, right? And the cool thing about blog posts that a lot of people like kind of overthink, I think, is they have to create new content. But like I said, with the lifespan of a tweet being 18 minutes, once you find a winning tweet, like, you know, we have one, I'm going to pull it up here in my notifications for on Twitter. I think it's like the main reason to use hashtags. Actually, that's exactly what it is, right? So we tested a bunch of headlines. That one got the most retweets, favorites, and clicks. More importantly for me, clicks, because I want the traffic to my blog, right? So we noticed that Robin's going to be dropping that and has consistently multiple times a week, 3 or 4 times a week, over and over and over and over and again. And as a result, it's getting more retweets and more favorites and more retweets and more favorites. So if people go to the blog, they're like, oh, this thing has 100 or 300 or whatever tweets. Oh my gosh, this is a good, viral piece of content, right? Is it viral? No, but it's been, that content's been shipped consistently for 60 days now, and it's going to be for the rest of the year because it's relevant and people get value from it. So the takeaway for those here, if they're creating epic content, man, share that consistently. Find that winning headline and then share it consistently. If you find a winning image that's just really inspirational, don't just be like, share it once. Maybe bring it back 60 days from now and use it again, or 90 days from now and use it again. If you find these winning pieces of content, use them again. Use them again.
So when you're saying use them again, you're scheduling them again, or you're tweeting them again, I'm assuming you schedule. So do you have any
schedule.
A favorite
yes.
Is that third-party scheduler or app, whatever?
I do. So for those just beginning, I would recommend Hootsuite. And there's a reason. Number 1, it's free. Number 2, it's easy. Number 3, they have an auto schedule feature. And lots of people are like, well, what are the best times to tweet? When should I post, right? So there is on average, you could just assume 7 to 7, say 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. because the bell curve is it's a bell curve, right? So 7 to 7 is pretty of a good rule. But that's going to be different per audience. And so you don't know until you analyze your audience to find what your best times to tweet are. I can tell you average, but we can get specific using some third-party tools, which we'll talk about here in a second. So for those just getting started, say use Hootsuite and use their auto schedule feature. And the cool thing about that is it will automatically just pick the best time for you to get the most eyeballs because they have a really good algorithm. So rather than thinking like, oh, should I do this at 8 or 8:10 or 7 a.m. or like times, just write your tweet. Like you have your spreadsheet open, you're like, oh, got to create this type of tweet. You open up Hootsuite, you compose it, and you're like, auto schedule, and it will drop it. And once you stack and select 9 times a day, so let's say we're on today's Monday. You're gonna write 9 tweets, and it's gonna stack them, pop, 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 9 deep. And once you have 9 scheduled for Monday, you hit auto schedule. The next one's going to roll out on Tuesday, and it's going to stack them. Pop, 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 pop. Same thing for Wednesday. So you can schedule out your whole week of content using Hootsuite and the auto schedule feature. You don't have to worry about the time. So that's what I would say for those beginning. Now, for those who are advanced, my friends, I would use Post Planner. I love Post Planner. Like it saves me 2 hours a day on finding great content to share with my people. Like it's huge. And I use socialbro.com to find and analyze my community to find exactly when my best times to tweet are and what days are the best times. So I can ultimately, if I'm promoting something like this or promoting a webinar or something I need to get eyeballs on, I know exactly when the majority of my following is online and when to drop that tweet by using Socialbro. And then once I know my times, I come into Post Planner and I set my time. So I can set my time for 8 or 8:10 or whatever the data says, and then it's just dropping, pop, 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 pop. And I'm using Post Planner to find amazing content. Like I said, it saved me 2 hours a day. Huge, wonderful tool. Thank you, Josh Parkinson, for making that freaking tool. It's amazing.
Yeah, Josh is awesome.
Right. Boom. It's just like I'm just trying to follow all this.
So I have a question about imagery. We talked a little bit about what kind of imagery or the effects of using imagery, specifically if you're trying to promote your own content, like a blog post or something like that. For our very first show, a visual marketing show, we had Sue Zimmerman was on, Sue V. Zimmerman. And she talked obviously a lot about Instagram and what the types of images that work best for Instagram are. Is there any type of images or style of images that you would say work best for Twitter or don't work best for Twitter?
The ones I'm seeing really good results right now are inspirational quotes, right? So I've been experimenting to figure out like what is the best one working for me. So there's sometimes we'll create my own quote, like from a little book I have that I don't even sell, but I send it to Robin and she can pull quotes out of it and stuff, or she'll go to my blog and grab, or she'll listen to a podcast I'm on, or she'll listen to this thing and pull quotes, and she'll write them down, and we'll make these little quotes for me from my own personal brand to build my authority. That's good, right? But those don't get shared as much as using other people's quotes from like Wayne Dyer or Tony Robbins, or quotes that we've all grown up with. So I'm seeing those types of images, even though you can create them your own, which we're doing. We're using Canva to then have the background image. In fact, Rob, you created an epic background that we use when we're creating stuff. Thank you very much, Rob. And then we add the text in there with Canva and use the epic logo you created for me. We drop the little logo in there of my own brand, even though it's someone else's quote. So I'm using the leverage of somebody else's quote, right? I'm giving them credit, but at the same time, I am anchoring in my brand, and that's getting shared often. And I'm still kind of consciously, subconsciously anchoring in my brand that Rob crafted for me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So would you say that so on Instagram, Sue was saying that she likes to create images where the viewer feels like they're a part of that image, whether it's first person and the angle and what's going on, is it action and is it lively and colorful? Do you think that those types of images, maybe because of the shelf life of a tweet is so short, and maybe just the expectation, the context that Twitter creates, those types of images perform good or not as well as something pre-designed, like you're talking about these inspirational quotes?
I think it just depends, man. Like, it depends on your brand. So if we look at Sue, I was just talking to Sue this morning. Like that's her brand, man. Like her Sue is personal. Sue is bright. Sue is bold. Sue is like energetic ball of energy. So that's her brand, and her imagery is congruent with her vibration, if that makes any sense. So that's going to work for Sue because she's being completely congruent with who in the heck she is and who her brand is, because it's an extension of her, right? So it's going to get shared. If I sit here and say, oh, well, this is the way, you have to have energetic diagonal lines, and you're somebody who's not that, like it won't work. And I'm not trying to get too woo-woo and rainbows and unicorns in this conversation, but that's the reality. Like, it will not work. You have to be congruent with your strategy. Like, if you are not congruent with the strategy, the marketing, the mechanics that you're implementing, it will not work. Like, so pay attention to who is your brand? What experience do you want to create? And if it is the bright, bold imagery, ship it. Like, totally ship it. Here's like a ninja tactic that a lot of people don't know or use, is if you're going to a live event and you use images that you could share on Twitter, which I'd highly recommend, by the way, using the event's hashtag, you can also actually tag those Twitter users. So let's say, I'm speaking at Creative Live here in November. I'll be hanging out with my good friend Sue. I'm having dinner with Josh Parkinson, Steve Dotto, Nathan Latka is going to be there. We're going to be taking lots of pictures. Okay.
Jealous.
I can tag them right there. We'll be taking selfies, but I will tag them in that imagery because, number one, it's fun. Number two, more importantly, it's going to give me exposure because since they're tagged, it's going to show up on their Twitter feed, therefore getting exposed to their audience, therefore growing everybody's brand. So if you want to take the personal images and that's congruent with you, tag the others in it. So I feel like I'm kind of like, not just like beating a dead horse, but like slaughtering the dead horse.
No, that's great.
So yes, that's what I wanted to say.
That's why. A tactical question, since you mentioned tagging in the photos. Do you have to, or is it necessary or best practices to mention them in the tweet and tag them in the photo? Do you have to do both? Should you do both or just one?
I would just do one, or it depends, man. Like, I think you could do both. It could be overkill. It depends on how you're strategically going to mention them in the tweet. You could do both. I think there's no right or wrong, and I hate to say that because I know people like it has to be this way or it has to be that way, but it's at the end there's gray space. Like, it tactically depends. So if I was like had a great time with and I tagged like mention everybody and then tag them, that would be fine, right? Another example where you may not want to do that is if it was like an image of people and then maybe you mention somebody who's not there. So it's like @Rob Rousseau, wish you were here in San Francisco with us. And, you know, I just tag everybody in the photo, but don't mention them in the tweet, right? Because it's more of like a specific message geared towards Rob, but still strategically marketed with everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you just have to get strategic with how are you going to use the @ mentions and how are you going to use the tags, and you're not like over spamming or over notifying people.
Right. Yeah. The reason why I asked, because with the visual marketing show, Rob and I are often promoting either the current show or the upcoming shows, and we'll use an image and it's got, you know, our faces in there. So it makes sense for us to tag the people that's in that photo. At least it does to me. So you've probably received some recently about this particular show, and I wasn't sure if there was any functional differences between either @ mentioning you in that tweet or tagging you in the photo, and if I needed to do both, because I know if I tag you in the photo, it doesn't use character counts towards the 140, right? So
you're exactly right.
So I could use those characters for something else, and that's why I was just curious about the functional differences between the two.
Yeah. The other thing, man, I'm scrolling through my Twitter feed right now to find is if you even changed with, like, you moved Bold Brand Fast and me, and you put period at AJ Amyx, looking forward to joining you on the show with the image, like that would be a strategy that would ultimately go to your people, go to my people, and still mention me. So you could even change the sequence of when you're using the @ mention in your promotion of your tweet.
Sure.
Sweet. What about like multiple images? You can do up to 4, right? With each tweet, you can add 4 images. So do you do a lot of that, or have you experimented?
I have not experimented with that at all. If we apply some of the Facebook strategy to the Twitter strategy, it may be a good thing, like to use 4 different images uploaded at one time for one tweet, because it creates kind of what we have here on my screen, which is the 4 layout blocks. And which is actually like very visually appealing to people to have those 4 things, right? So one of the things I strategically did when I did my my engagement post on Twitter for being engaged this past weekend is I took a picture of Sarah and I took a picture of the dog, and I took a picture of the ring, because I didn't want like it to just be one picture. I like visually already thought through, I want it to be laid out in this triad, because I believe it will get more likes and comments and shares, because it will stick out in the newsfeed. Now, that's an example of taking something personal and turning it into a marketing piece.
Right.
I know that's really strange to use this example as a visual marketing element, but it was very thoughtfully kind of constructed when I posted that.
It works. We have we have a congrats, and if anyone missed, he wasn't talking engagement like the engagement we want on social media. He was talking about, he popped the question right in his personal life. So congrats to that.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Right.
The other thing I want to mention here, because it's talking about engagement, okay? A lot of people want to have engagement, and I kind of want to like smash that word into the ground for those listening today, because I don't care about engagement. Like at the end of the day, I want to know, does it get me clicks to the website? And so my kind of challenge for everybody here today that's listening is measure your clicks. Like, it's great to have the retweets. It's great to have the favorites, and we can get into the science on Twitter why you really want the retweets, because it's really actually what makes you an influencer. Yes, it is the amount of followers you have, but it's more about the quality of the following. And yes, it is about having an engaged community, but the retweets, how many times your content's being retweeted is actually the currency of an influencer on Twitter. So yes, you do want the retweets, but if you're having, let's say, 1,000 retweets on every single thing you tweet, but it's not getting you clicks, what's the point? Like, what is the point of being an influencer if it's not bringing you top quality traffic to ultimately generate leads that ultimately lead to sales? So I just challenge everybody to stop thinking, oh, I need engagement, and just ask yourself, does it get me traffic? And if the answer is yes, then continue doing it. If the answer is no, then stop doing it.
Yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
And back to the original, we kind of started with the mix it up, see what works. In general, just mix things up, right? Don't do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, awesome. Can I shift the conversation a bit? I feel weird, like this is your show, and I feel like, hey, can I shift the conversation of your show?
No, have at it.
So I want to talk about video because
no, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that.
Okay, we can not talk about that.
No,
so I was doing some research, and it's really interesting. You know, Twitter video rolled out earlier this year. There's really not a lot of information out there. And so as I did some research, this was interesting. 90% of the views on a Twitter video are on a mobile device. So 80% of all users on Twitter are on a mobile device. This is really, really ridiculously important to know. Number one, because if your website is not mobile friendly and you're driving clicks to your website, like you're completely destroying all of your efforts. So you need to make sure that whatever you're taking people better be mobile friendly if you're serious about using Twitter. Like better be mobile friendly. That's really, really important. So if you're starting to use video, understand that 90% of those views are on a mobile device. So that's important. Here's what Twitter found out. Twitter said 70% of users watched the video if it came into the Twitter feed. I found this really interesting. I didn't even know it was that high. 70% of the people, if they see the video in their feed, they watch it. And they also say, according to Twitter, now they may be like inflating these numbers, we don't really know, right? But according to Twitter, they say that native video is capable of driving 2.5 times the replies and nearly 2.8 times the retweets than third-party videos. Meaning, if I create a native video and I share it here on my Twitter feed, I'm going to have almost 3 times the amount of retweets than shooting a video, uploading it to YouTube, and then sharing the YouTube video, right? Same concept, just a couple more steps. So I would actually have more retweets on that. Now this is interesting. We have retweets. We can use video. Hey, what's up, Shannon? Glad to have you here.
Hey, how are you guys?
Hey, Shannon.
So we can use the video to get retweet, but then my question is, how can we use the videos to actually what? Get us clicks over to the website. So this brings into how to use videos. So I've had this conversation with Rob sometimes, and I know my good friend Sue does this on Instagram, where anytime somebody follows her, that she sends them a video message via direct message. That strategy could be applied to Twitter. Now the thing is there's no way to really automate that. That is something you would either have to do yourself, or you'd have to have a virtual assistant either here in the States or overseas to implement for you. Really good strategy, not gonna lie. I've had several people give me a video reply to a message, which totally for me jumps out. So if you are running a virtual summit, you're running a blab show, and you wanna get your influencers' attention, send them a video message. You have 30 seconds to create video. You actually can say a lot in 30 seconds if you get really strategic. So let's say you wanted to interview Gary Vee here on this show. Lots of people send him, hey, Gary, you want to be on my show? Direct message. But hardly anybody is going to be like, yo, Gary Vee, Rob here. We have this show. I really appreciate this episode you did. I like when you said this. It's a really good fit for my show. Would you be willing to come on to my show? Like, you're going to get his attention. Even if he doesn't say no, like, you're going to get on his radar, because hardly anybody's going to do that because they're scared, right? But do it. That's the opportunity. That is the opportunity, my friend. So you could use that for video response. You could share real-time events. So I did this last year when I went to social media marketing world, and it was really interesting. I felt like I really was a rock star again. I shot a video right when I left Dallas Love Field in San Diego. I'm here in Dallas. Somebody asked where we're at, so I'm in Dallas. I flew to San Diego. I'm walking through the hotel lobby to go actually meet up with Sue Zimmerman. And this random person, I didn't even know, she comes over to me and she's like, hey, are you AJ Amyx? And I'm like, I am. And she's like, I saw your video that you posted on Twitter about you leaving the airport, and I saw you walking through the lobby, and I just had to come say hi. And I'm like, oh, okay. Hi. I gotta go, because I didn't know what to say. It was really weird to me, right? So the whole point of this is people pay attention. And here's what's also interesting about that video. Nobody favorited that video. Nobody retweeted that video. But yet here I am flying halfway across the country, and somebody says they saw the video and then took time out of their day to chase me across the hotel lobby to say hi, right? That's powerful. Like, that's influence. So if you want to talk about the power of video and people having influence, video is super powerful, because most people are scared to get in front of the camera, which I don't understand, because we're being recorded every single day. And what I'm talking about is people's eyeballs. We go to the grocery store, we're being recorded through people's retinas because they're looking at us. It's no different than being here on video via webcam or being on video using your smartphone. So use the opportunity there to actually get in front and lead your audience. So that's kind of my thoughts about video, Twitter video. I mean, I did lots of research trying to figure out like how can we quite use it. Lots of people are using like Vine videos, and they're really like, I can't remember that one guy. He has genius videos, but that takes a lot of work, like super creative, a lot of work. But for the majority of us, I think really just promoting our events, maybe shooting really kind of direct, maybe video journal type messages with a call to action, I think is how we could use that. But there's lots of opportunity to explore video. I don't really think there is, this is the way, but that's the kind of the data on the video.
Right. Do you know of a way to, sorry, Shannon, AJ, do you know of a way to do the video on desktop? Is it the same way you would do a photo? You just have to have an MP4? Is that?
Yes, you just do need an MP4, and it just needs to be a 30-second clip, right?
Okay.
So you could create like a little promo video, like 15 seconds for Instagram, 30 seconds for Twitter. Take the same promo video, and maybe it's a 60-second or a 2-minute for Facebook, you know, just kind of cut down snippets. Like even from this show, you could grab little quotables from it and put it together in a 30-second clip and use that as an evergreen piece of content on Twitter video to promote the show if there's an archive of it somewhere.
Okay, we'll just wait for you to say something quotable, and then we'll do that. Shannon, do you have a question?
Actually, I don't have a question. I have an experience. So I got started pretty much with Twitter about 60 days ago when Facebook slammed my Facebook ads account, and my lead traffic went from awesome to nothing. So I turned to Periscope and Twitter, and I've been doing a lot of experiments with that. And I'm a business strategist, so I work with business owners to scale up through effective marketing. So I'm always looking on how to get good opt-ins and good promotional materials. So my first experience with Twitter video, last week I did a webinar with David Lee Jensen, who is the hiring guru on Huffington Post. And I put a small video on there to an opt-in page. And from just one little video, I got 13 opt-ins to the page, and it was about a 48% conversion rate. So I had a little bit over 20 something clicks, and then, you know, almost half of them opted in to the webinar, which I found really awesome, particularly since it's free. You're not paying for those clicks on Twitter, and it wasn't even a good video. I mean, we literally had a 1-minute video, and I just selected a random 30 seconds out of the video for the Twitter post, and it worked really well. Plus, people watched it and they shared it. So compared to my other posts, which, you know, haven't gotten all that much traction, I found the video was very, very effective. And then, you know, it kind of all ties together with, if you're going to make a little snippet of 30-second snippet, it's great for SEO too. You know, shorter videos for SEO marketing are fantastic. And then you just link it off to your website to get their lead magnet or whatever they're going to get. So I'm loving Twitter videos so far. I'm going to do a lot more of it and a lot more testing, but I think they're right on. And, you know, video marketing is the highest converting media online. So I think people getting on that with Twitter is going to be very, very effective.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's good share. That's good stuff.
Yeah, I loved it. You know, it's better than paying $2 a click on Facebook. They kind of did me a favor when they put the axe down. I have to admit, I was devastated for a good 30 days, but, you know, it is what it is. Facebook's very unpredictable that way. It's not the, you know, I've had clients get their accounts shut down for unknown reasons. So I think with Twitter, the other thing I'm experimenting now with is Twitter ads. And those are working really well as well. So I'm liking it.
Awesome. This is the importance of diversifying your ad spend and your traffic. Because if let's say if you're just all in on Twitter, like, and they drop the hammer on you for some reason, like you're like, shit, what do I do? That's why you better be using other multiple streams bringing traffic. And now, now that I say that, make sure, just kind of actionable stuff, some mobile action here. Master one, once it's working, move to another one, master it. Once it's working, move to another one. So you are eventually building out these multiple streams of traffic. And that way you don't ever have to worry about necessarily an axe. Is it going to hinder you? It will for a little bit, but like, you've done Shannon, you're like, it's all good. Yeah. I'll find a new opportunity here. And
well, you think I would have learned the lesson after Google AdWords, but then Facebook ads just became easy. And I kind of got lazy with it. Now I'm doing Twitter and then LinkedIn. So we'll get those. I do have a question that just came to mind, though, because I'm learning a lot about Twitter now. How are you using Twitter lists?
Awesome. So I'm using Twitter lists to kind of like curate what I want to see. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if there's certain people that you want to pay attention, so let's say you have a list of your homies that you want to pay attention to, mm-hmm. add them to a list that you can then monitor and you can set up within TweetDeck or Hootsuite or whatever dashboard that you want to use.
Okay.
And then you can monitor that list so you can go in and check in with those types of people. If there's certain people that you are trying to kind of persuade or seduce or campaign, okay, you could add them to that list so you can continue that marketing process to them by asking them questions and engaging with those. That's how I'm using lists, because I never ever go into the Twitter feed. Like my feed is ridiculous. So that's how I use lists, is strategically to figure out who I want to connect with, how I want to engage with those people. The other thing is finding those Twitter chats that are relevant to your industry. And rather than having to be there at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on a Tuesday evening, because I can tell you, I'm sure as hell I'm not going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be like with Sarah. So I can still pay attention to those and interact with that community by just adding them to a list. And then in the daytime, right, when it's my time to actually interact with them, in fact, I'll have Robin do it, but she'll interact with all those people. She'll follow those people. And it's a very great way to actually continue to build your targeted following.
Okay, that's perfect. Thanks.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay, guys, I'm going to exit my seat and give someone else an opportunity.
Awesome. Thanks for joining, Shannon.
Thanks for popping in.
So we had a question back up here from Zach Lyman, and he said, how do I feel about people buying followers? So here's the reality. If you're just buying fake followers, like, it's a complete waste of your money, because you're not going to build a targeted audience. If you're buying real people who are not your audience, it's a complete waste of your money and your time, because again, it's not your audience. You will never ever be able to monetize just a vast amount of people. Like, you better spend the time building the audience, whether either implementing some of the strategies I teach on the follow game and getting very strategic and consistent in a 30-minute process 4 days a week to organically build that following, or doing what Shannon's doing right now and spending money promoting and boosting your tweets to your targeted group, therefore getting your message strategically in front of the right people. So again, you're building the quality followers. It's not about having, oh, I have 400,000 followers. Good for you. Or like, they your people, right? Because if you're a shepherd and your job is to take care of sheep and that's how you get paid, and you have a herd of 400,000 or 399,000 cattle and one sheep, like, you're a shitty shepherd. Like, you need to go out and get better sheep. I don't know another better analogy, right? It's a complete waste of time. So that's my rant on buying a following. Like, I'm cool with it if it's your people, but don't just have random people for the sake of having people.
Right. Can I play devil's advocate a little bit? And I totally buy into everything that you're saying. You know, I've heard other people say it, and I totally agree. And I'm a big advocate for doing exactly that. But, and it's a big but, so I used to work for my family, my parents, during the summer when I was in college, and they sold flowers at a local farmer's market, for example. And so on the weekends, I'd go and help them sell flowers. And one of the things I learned during that, being a salesperson that I knew nothing about flowers, is that crowds draw crowds, right? So if I had a couple people come in and they were looking at a display of flowers, other people would see them, want to know, hey, what are they looking at? And they'd come over and look too. So I think there is value in having a large number of followers, and buying followers can get you that number quickly. Now, I totally agree with everything that you're saying, that they aren't They're not your customers. They're not going to be buying into what you're saying. Most of them are going to be bots and fake accounts. And, when Twitter does their cleaning, your number's going to drop again. But there is some value to having that large number. So what would you say to that argument?
So we're talking about the idea of social proof, and does social proof actually influence somebody to take an action? So here's what I'd have to say. If I have one Twitter follower and you have 300,000 and we walk into the same room, if I have more confidence and certainty to deliver my message, I will steal everybody in that fucking room and take them home with me, and they will buy from me rather than you. Just because you have the social proof doesn't mean that I can't influence, or just because you have social proof doesn't mean you can influence. So sure. I would say it'd be more powerful for somebody to actually learn the game, to build the targeted following over time, right? And they're going to ultimately be able to have more influence. Mm-hmm. And this comes back to like, well, if in the flower analogy, I totally get you, like in the idea of products. But when it comes to this idea of Twitter, I feel like the people with the most confidence, the most certainty, and they're delivering the most value, regardless of how big their following is going to have more influence and more authority and more credibility, rather than somebody that just buys fake followers and that's trying to pretend. This comes back to this idea that energy never lies. Like if you are not congruent and trying to fake your way to being an influencer, you will never ever be an influencer, because you're trying to prove to everybody else, I have numbers, look at me, right. Look at me, I'm the influencer. No, you're not, you're a poser. You're not an influencer. Influencer is somebody who's actually going to lead quality people. And I also feel like if I see people with 400,000 people, I'm like, well, did they buy fake people? Like this is the first thought in my head. Did they buy fake people? And then if I go and I look at their follower, because you can see everybody that's following them, and if it's a bunch of fake accounts and you can see that it's a bunch of spam, in my eyes as a user, you automatically lose credibility, because I can see that you're a poser, rather than somebody who has a very quality 100-person following, right? As long as they're not promising to teach people, let me teach you how to grow your Twitter following and have hundreds of thousands of people sharing your stuff. Well, it's not congruent with what you're living, so you're actually telling a lie. So what I'm getting at is those of us who are willing to be vulnerable and raw and actually truthful will win the game long-term and short-term.
Awesome.
Solid. All right,
awesome.
That's good stuff. If anybody else is out there that wants to pop in.
Dude, I want to give Brian a shout. So iSocial Fans, he says, fake people spend fake money, which only works in a monopoly. So like Brian's totally congruent with kind of my rant here, right? It's all about being honest, integral, and building a quality following. There is no overnight success. I always tell people, if you want some overnight success, go play the lottery, see how that works out for you. But if you're willing to actually show up and do the work day in and day out, and ultimately can better and better and better and better and put in the 10,000 hours, you're going to win. Like you will, I promise you, like you will win.
Slow and steady.
The tortoise. Yeah. Be the tortoise, my friends.
Right. Does anybody else want to pop in and ask questions? We're talking Twitter marketing tips, visuals, content tips, and well, whatever else.
I love Dennis right here. The saying in Texas is "big hat, no cattle," or in his, he said sheep. Dude, so true, man. I like that.
Hey, Bonnie.
Hi. So I just want to say thank you. I spend quite a bit of time on Blab and Periscope. My entire business is built just from live streaming. And this is the first Blab I've sat in on in a very long time that was absolutely filled with good information. I really appreciate it. So you guys are doing a great job, and AJ, I appreciate the information that you're sharing, and I like the examples that you've given. And anytime Fanzo shows up, you know it's worthy, so that's always a good thing too.
Okay,
so
and
I just want to say thank you, honestly.
Great.
And put that video on everywhere, right? Retweet or not. So
thank you.
I just want to say thank you. See you later.
Thank you, Bonnie. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Right. We'll use that.
That's like the best thing I think anybody's ever said, like ever, on a show that I've been on. So that's cool.
Well,
awesome.
And it happened here first, folks.
It did. It did.
Yeah, second time on Blab, right, AJ?
Yeah, second time. The last time I was on with Chris Cerrone, I told him I could only be on for 30 minutes, and then I stayed for 3 hours because we did something like this where we answered questions.
Yep, that's how it happens.
Right, and it's a Bear Marketing. She just said, I posted my first Twitter video from what I just learned here. So thanks, AJ.
Nice. It's David. I talked to David. David, to give you a shout out. Dude, I'm so excited for you. I just talked to David last week, I think Thursday or Friday. Jeff Herring connected us. Awesome. It's cool to see him here. Mm-hmm. Awesome, David.
Right. Does anybody else want to pop in and ask AJ a Twitter question? Yeah.
Okay, so I want to give Zach some advice here. So Zach says it's taken him a long time to get to 1,600 people on Twitter. Okay, so a lot of people create content. We talked about 9 times today. We talked about video. We talked about images, okay? And as we're doing this, a lot of people will then say, well, how am I supposed to have followers if I don't buy them? I just create content and people are going to come? No, you're being very reactive. Like, people come to me, hopefully, then I'll be able to go to them. Don't do that. Like, play the follow game. Like, actively go find your target market. So I always tell people, find the top 5 authors, speakers, podcasters, thought leaders, associations, events that your target market is hanging out at, and then go see who they're following, and then follow the people who are following those people. So therefore, you're actively getting your account, your message, your product, your service in front of your quality targeted people. And if you'll do that consistently, and I'm not telling you to go out and be an aggressive follower and spam people. Do not hear me say that. I am not telling you to be a spammer. I would never tell you that, right? Do not do that. But if you will go seek out quality people to connect with, like, they will connect with you, and you're able to take that 1,600 people that are following you and turn that into 3,000 by the end of the month, like into 4,000 the next month, 5,000 the next week. You do the work consistently for the year. And I always tell people this about Twitter. Like, people are always looking for some magic bullet, easy button solution. Twitter is like a gym routine. Like, you get results because you have a very strategic plan, and you spend 30 minutes a day executing on that strategic plan. And if you do that, 90 days from now, your Twitter account and your leads and your list is radically different. You do that for a year, and your account and your influence is like, you can't even fathom what it will be. Just like your body, if you will do P90X for an entire year, like you do it for 90 days, you do it for another 90 days and another 90, like your body is completely transformed, and you walk into Christmas next year and people are like, holy shit, who are you? How did you get to be so fit? And you're like, I showed up and did the work every day for an hour. Like, what a concept. Twitter is that way, my friends. Like, have the plan and show up and put in the work strategically 30 minutes a day. Dude, did we like drop so many value bombs that we just like blew Rob out? Like, is he coming back?
Right. He might have passed away. I don't know.
Oh no, lightning bolt.
No, I'm sure he'll jump back in. So Kevin posted there, follower wonk, BuzzSumo, blah, blah, blah. A lot of great tools for.
Sassy Savvy VA, what should be the ratio of scheduled tweets and live tweets? I schedule out all of my content. So my 9 tweets a day, that's my content. It's scheduled for the entire week. I tweet more than 9 times a day, by the way, because Twitter's all about engagement. So it is not a one-way conversation. If you're going into this idea of using Twitter and just like one-way conversation, put my message out there, boom, 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 and you're not conversing, like, you're not going to see results. The game of Twitter is all about relationships. And if you'll get this, like, the game will change for you. Mm-hmm. So my live tweets are me responding to people, going into Twitter, looking at my notifications, and I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of notifications every single day that I'm responding to people to. And I use the power, the skill sets that I have in offline conversation. So I'm also like a coach and consultant. So I've learned how to ask very sharp, powerful questions to lead people. So I take that skill set and bring it into this world that we call Twitter and into social media marketing. And I'm able to ask these very powerful questions that then can guide the conversations to people. So when people respond to me and say, thanks for following me, rather than saying you're welcome, I would say, you're welcome. What are you looking to accomplish in the next 90 days? Or you're most welcome. And if I notice they're an author, I may directly ask them, hey, how's your book doing? Or how are you promoting your book, or how many copies have you sold? Whatever I want to say, like these are things that I would ask offline, in the flesh, like face to face. Bring those types of questions online, and if you'll do that, you're going to be able to steer the conversation. And all you have to do is just ask and listen, and you can find where can you show up and serve. And what I mean by that, do you take it to email? Do you take it to Facebook? Do you take the conversation to phone? Or if you don't have a solution, do you just simply refer them to somebody else and say, hey, connect with Ben, or connect with Rob, or connect with Sue, or connect with Brian? Like ultimately just connect, ask questions and connect. Relationships are everything. Like if you guys get that, total game changer in the game of Twitter and your social marketing.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think some people have a more natural knack of creating that conversation, or bringing that conversation style that they would normally have, like you explained it, in the real world, the meat world, and bringing that into Twitterverse. I don't think that I naturally have it, but I have found spurts of it, and I've noticed that it feels better than me just saying, oh, thanks, or whatever, just having like a short response or retweet or reply, but engaging in them and having that conversation, it just feels better. It feels like I'm meeting somebody, even though, I kind of am, but it's words. It's not like here on Blab where I can see you and see other people. It feels a little different, but when I have that natural conversation, or it feels a lot more natural, it certainly feels better.
Yeah, and for those that don't feel natural, like maybe they're naturally an introvert, right? And they're like, oh, I don't ask a lot of questions. I just kind of go and people talk to me type thing. Learn to become slightly extroverted. I'm not telling you that you have to be an extrovert or it's not going to work, right? Even like some of my great friends are super introverts, but they've learned how to be slightly extroverted so they can actually have human interaction. And it's not something that happened overnight. It's not like they were blessed by some fairy dust and they had extrovert skills. Like they studied, they looked, they studied the skill sets of having great conversation. They read books like How to Win Friends and Influence People. And then they did something crazy. They took massive action. Even though it felt ridiculously uncomfortable, they took massive action to finally overcoming that fear and starting to become comfortable by having the conversations. And as they consistently did the work, then they obtained a new skill set, which then blew up their ability to network offline, which blew up their business because now they're having relationships. So I just really highly encourage those people who are naturally introverts. By the way, I'm naturally an introvert. Like this conversation is going to drain the energy out of me for the rest of the day because I'm naturally introverted, but I've learned how, through performing for 10 years of my life, how to become extroverted. So I want people to know that it's possible to learn those skill sets. It is scary, but it is possible if you're willing to actually take risk and do the work and enhance and hone those skill sets.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, AJ, I think we've hit our 1 hour, and I'm fine with going over. If anybody else has any questions and wants to jump in and ask them, feel free to do so. The seat is completely open. And Rob is back. Oh, we got someone here, Jonathan.
Yeah, sorry, if you do any works from home or around, if you know what it feels like to be a nomad, right? Online entrepreneur world, but I was double booked and got the boot in the conference room I was in, so had to move.
That's all right. Hey, Jonathan.
Oh, hi there, guys. I just got a quick question. To really use Twitter, how important do you feel it is to have a really strong, powerful website and be able to link your Twitter strategy to actually moving traffic to your website, so you have an area where you can have a much stronger message?
Awesome. Great question, dude. So Jonathan, let's look at this, brother. What is your goal, man? Like, what do you sell?
Well, I have a startup company, and it's aimed at the real estate industry, agents and brokers, and it sells a software product that helps them get more referrals from their online activities.
Awesome. Do you have a way to like an opt-in or a lead magnet on your website so you're exchanging value for their name and email address?
Yes, I'm using Option Monster, and I put that on, and we developed a 12-page PDF which gives information about how to use Facebook aimed at agents and brokers. That gives some unique information, I feel.
Awesome. So I would say in your case, and in most everybody's case, it's yes, absolutely have the website there, not in your bio, but where you can put it in your profile setup. Have your bio, have that link there. Strategically in the bio of your Twitter profile, tell people exactly what you do. Like, don't be clever, don't be sexy. I call this a power statement. Just say, I help real estate agents generate leads with social media. Or I help real estate agents with my tool to generate leads with social media. And so if you're actively then going to go out and connect, which I'd highly recommend you doing if you're not doing that, like go find the real estate associations online, like the National Association for Realtors or something, and who's ever following that account, those are all probably real estate agents, follow those guys, right? Because then they're like, oh man, who's Jonathan Dinwood here? And they're going to go to your profile and they're like, oh, I help real estates generate more leads with the social media tool. And they're like, oh, that's interesting. They click on the website and then they're going to see your pop-up ad there, or your pop-up from the app you're running there. Boom, you're going to be able to start generating organic list building if you execute upon that strategy. Second thing that I would encourage you to do is start getting into conversation with these realtors and potentially referral partners, like finding the president of these realtor boards and these realtor associations and asking them about what they do for fun and using it as a networking tool to figure out who they are as a human being, what are they doing in business, how can you guys partner together to find win-win solutions for both parties, not just you, not just them, for both parties. And how could you then use Twitter to network your way to set up a phone call with the president of the board or whatever, to then be able to pitch a way that you can help them make money, because if you can help them make money, then they're going to be able to help you make money. So it's kind of like two strategies in a nutshell about how you could actively use Twitter. And we could get into kind of the tactical how-tos if you wanted to, not here, but we could definitely do that off the lab.
Oh, thanks for that. I'll leave and let somebody else join, but thanks for that. It's much appreciated. In a way, I'm kind of doing that, but in a slightly, I kind of use Twitter to use lists as you were discussing. I have two profiles. The profile that I'm linked in Blab is my other company. And then I have a different profile for my SaaS product. And I have done what you suggested.
Awesome.
But I tend then to touch base with people through LinkedIn. And I have got success. And also I do a podcast where we've been getting people in the industry to come on and try and build credibility through that. It's a time factor. It's trying to fit everything in that you got to do.
Awesome. Yeah. So look at the data, bro. Like, I don't know if you're measuring your data, but which activity is actually bringing you leads?
I haven't been doing that. That's an area I've got to really work on.
This is huge for you. Like, this will change the game for you if you start measuring your data. I didn't do this for years. And we spend ourselves as entrepreneurs, especially in this world of social media, because we hear, I need to have a podcast. I need to be on Blab. I got to be on Periscope. I got to use Twitter. I got to be on Instagram. I have to do all of these things, and we do them. And then we have to ask ourselves, is it profitable? I helped a business partner of mine grow his podcast from 5,000 downloads a month to over 121,000 downloads a month in 6 weeks using Twitter, and ultimately came to the decision to can the podcast because it did not generate us leads. It was not building our list. Now, did we have a successful podcast by industry standards? You bet your ass we did. But to the bottom line of our business, did it add us leads? Oh, no, it didn't. So we had to make a decision based upon the data to can it. So I would have you strategically look, my friend, at all the activities that you're doing. Is it building your list? And if the answer is yes, go all in on it. If the answer is no, like, can it and find the things to go all in on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I basically doing it. We're like 4 or 5 months in, and I'm basically doing it to kind of increase, because I didn't. I'm not an active real estate agent or broker, even though I've done quite a few websites for that industry, and the product is aimed at that industry. And I do have a co-host who has extensive experience in that industry, but I'm doing it more as to try and increase the social credibility of myself and the product in the industry. To some extent, but what you've just said is totally, not obvious, because everybody would do it, and they don't, do they? They don't do that, do they?
Yeah.
No, I was guilty of it for years, bro. And now every single week I'm measuring everything. I have Robin go in. She looks at our open rates. She looks at our list. Is it growing? Is it declining? We measure everything we're doing on Instagram. We measure like certain tweets, like does it get clicks? Does it not get clicks? And every single Monday we're reviewing that information. I just had that conversation with Robin today. What worked this week and what didn't work this week? And she's like, well, this, and this worked. This, and this didn't work. And I was like, okay, well, let's try this strategy this week, or let's retool this strategy this week so we can pivot here, so we can keep everything going on average, growing. I mean, of course, there's certain weeks it's going to be down, certain weeks it's going to be up, but I don't know the certain weeks that it's a huge increase, like what happened that week. And if I can reverse engineer that and be, oh, that's what happened, let's do more of that and let's do less of this, then we can start growing and ramping it up strategically. So I would highly encourage you to, get really strategic on the platform. So you're using podcasting to ultimately build a network and add branding, right? If that's working, awesome. If you're using Twitter to generate leads, then measure that. How many are you getting? If you're using LinkedIn to build leads, is it working? Just make sure that you're clear on this platform I'm using for this specific purpose, and then measure the data to make sure you're on target to hit that purpose. And if not, tweak and adjust and shift until you are hitting that. But the data doesn't lie, my friend.
Right. Thank you.
Awesome.
You bet, dude.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you.
And one of the things I want to add on that, on the data, is don't kill something too quickly. So I talked about our podcast. We did it for 7 months and we measured the data for 90 days. So we had a hard date. We said, if this does not generate leads in 90 days, we're going to can it. And in 90 days, it didn't. So we canned it. Sue, what's up? Glad you're here.
I had to get on and say hi to the three of you because I know all of you.
Yay.
Well, your ears may have been burning. I think everybody was talking about you. So.
Well, I saw something pop up when I was on a Google Hangout interview with Brian Kramer, and I saw Rob's little blab bubble pop up, and that's how I knew that you guys were still on. Well, you need to know that AJ and I actually had a great Twitter conversation this morning, and he helped me change my bio, which aligns much more with what I'm doing these days. And so, AJ, I love you. Thanks for that.
Thanks. I'm excited to kick it with you in San Francisco. Fanzo was here earlier. I don't know if he still is. And we were chatting in here in the little mentions box thingy.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm excited to kick it with both of you guys here in about 4 weeks.
Yeah. And real quick, Rob, I gave you were the example of, so can I just talk about this for 1 second? I don't want to like bust through.
No.
Okay, because I had to rush off your last interview. I felt so badly. Rob, you were my example of how to have a theme-like Instagram account when I was talking with Brian, and how you really carry through that branding consistently with your graphics. And I love using you as an example. And Ben, you're getting better. Let's just say that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so I just wanted to give props to all three of you. You guys are awesome. I love you all, and it's so nice to see you all in one, Brady Bunch square right here.
Yeah, this would be a good screenshot. Everybody say cheese. All right.
All right, you guys, I'll let you go back to it. I just wanted to say hi and jump in, and I'll see you guys all soon, okay?
All right.
Bye, Steve.
Bye, you guys.
So I want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff here in data collection. So C. Wendley saying, what tools to recommend for data collection? I don't have a tool. And they're asking, like, who do I use? I don't use a company. I created a spreadsheet. We talked about the hating spreadsheets, right? But as I start learning about spreadsheets, they liberate me. So I figure out what I want to measure, and I just put it in a spreadsheet. In fact, we're using a Google document. And then I have my assistant. She has all of my username, passwords, logins to everything I have. And she logs in and she will monitor like my Twitter following, like the number, like I watch it grow every single week. Mm-hmm. Facebook likes, our percentage of people talking about us, our email open rate, our unsubscribe rate, like anything you want to measure, and just start with the things that you can think of now. And as you progress in your business, you're going to learn different things that you want to measure, and then add that to the spreadsheet. And then you have your assistant, you could have your daughter, you could pay a VA to log in and then just manually do that. So that's what I'm doing, guys, as far as managing the assistant. Then say like, oh, your assistant, got it. Because he doesn't like spreadsheets. I want to talk about that too, though. Me did that before I handed it off to my assistant, because I wouldn't be able to train Robin to do it if I hadn't been doing it. Now I only did it for like 2 weeks, but I did do it for 2 weeks, and I didn't like it, but I did do it. I pushed through the pain because I need to learn how to do it. So I did do it, and then I outsourced it. So I want to talk about that. The other person said, what tools do I recommend for data collection? I want to talk about your data on Twitter specifically. Socialbro.com. I'll drop this in here. I wish I would have used my affiliate link, but it's all good. Socialbro.com, like the best tool that I know of for finding ridiculous amounts of data on your Twitter following and really honing in your strategy. It's like there's so many things that can be measured with Social Bro. It's insane. I'm not gonna lie, Social Bro, as far as the tools, a little pricey, but it's ridiculously powerful. One of the most powerful tools I know of.
Sweet.
Let's see here. Going through here.
So if anybody else has any questions in the comment section, you can /Q and ask it there, or we have an open seat. Feel free to jump in if you want to ask it in person. And if not, AJ, I want to be considerate of your time and our viewers. So I know we've gone over the hour allotted. I don't mind staying. But if you need to go, or if Rob, I know you are camping out in a vehicle, it looks like, if you need to go as well.
You like this office background I have?
I like it.
AJ, who do you think should be on the visual marketing show in the future?
Man, for visual marketing, that's a good question.
Well, like we talked Twitter, and it wasn't always all visual, so it doesn't have to be exactly.
Yeah.
There's lots of people. Awesome. Sassy Savvy VA, thanks for signing up. I'm really, really glad that. And she said she just got really great content from that. Awesome. Okay, so another, because this one's kind of about, we got into data, which I usually don't get into a lot of conversations, but every time I do, because I've only gotten into that conversation a couple of times, people's minds like blown, because most people in our industry don't talk about measuring the data. Like, why? I don't know, but they don't, right? So I would reach, and Rob, if you're not connected to Jan Ko, he's out of Germany. He's a WordPress expert, but I can connect you, a good friend of mine. He has put together some tools for measuring like what works on a website and doing split tests and what to test. That may be really interesting in getting into visual marketing conversations.
Sure.
And since Rob dropped, we'll switch this over to Ben. Ben is the tried and true host of the show. Let's just make that known. He never leaves.
Ever.
So then I'll connect you with Jan if you're not connected with Jan, and it may be cool for you guys to talk about what do we measure on visually on a website? What is the best way to visually see the data? Because there are some tools out there to have bar graphs and pie charts. Because I'm super visual, so if you just give me numbers, I'm like, what?
Right.
But if you give me a pie chart, I can like totally comprehend the data way faster. So that he may be a good conversation. I know he'd come on, but that may be a cool thing.
Yeah, can you drop his Twitter or some way to get in contact with him in the comment box there? Yeah, I know we can talk offline as well, but
yeah, let me
just for others that may want to follow him.
Let's see.
And then when you're done doing that, since no one else is jumping in at the moment, and we have lost Rob again, why don't you tell everybody where a good place to follow you and find you? Obviously on Twitter, but are there other places that are just as good?
Yeah. So the best place to find me is ajamyx.com. That's my website. I usually publish great, and I'm not saying it because it's my blog, but I spend like 8 hours on every blog post I go out and I do lots of digging, I backlink, I do lots and lots of research. So I did one which is like, how many hashtags should you use on Twitter? So I'll come up with that and I'll see what you guys want to learn, and then I will go out and dig to, again, get you the data to prove it. It's super hardy with videos and how to use it. It's very in-depth. So when I publish a blog post, they're like legit. So those are absolutely free. Just go to ajamyx.com. You guys can read up on that. You guys can also get the 7 deadly Twitter mistakes by going to ajamyx.com and grab that. Or if you just want to get it really quickly, go to bit.ly/7 Twitter solutions. Thank you, Ben. You guys can go get that. It's not like some airy-fairy PDF. I mean, Rob designed it, so it looks freaking amazing. But it's like mistake 1, solution 1, mistake 2, solution 2. So it's like mad resource, epic, amazing value that if you'll just do the work and implement those, you'll see results from your Twitter account. Like it will grow in 24 to 48 hours. I have yet to have somebody not implement what I do and not get results. So just go get that and do the work and you'll see results, I promise.
Right, awesome.
So that's it, my friend. And I got lots of hands. I got like almost 1,100 hands.
Yeah, look at all those props.
That's good.
I'm only ahead of Rob because he keeps dropping out, so yay.
Blowing the prop machine up. Yeah, right. I've been in and out. Sorry for my spotty Wi-Fi and my
That's right.
whatever.
Well, AJ, I appreciate it, and everybody for joining. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. AJ was constantly dropping so many tips and hints and tricks and things that I didn't even know about. I know I personally can get way better at Twitter, and I'm certainly going to be rewatching this in the replay and taking a lot more notes than I could during the show. So, AJ, thank you. And Rob, thank you for being here, kind of, sort of.
All right. Yeah. Right. And there's a fly now. All right.
Awesome, everybody.
Guys.
This is one of the best blabs, guys. Thanks for that. Thanks for all the props,
this was
everybody.
great. Really appreciate it, AJ.
You bet, guys. Have a great day.
All right. Bye.